Irving
He has a game plan, and I don't overlook no one, because when you step into the ring, you have to have a lot of guts to step inside that ring, because you can either get hurt or you can succeed what you're trying to do. And I feel, you know, Mr. Williams has a game plan to, you know, to approach me with, so I have to be on my P's and Q's.
Welcome in to Frank Tate against William Crystal Kid Clayton. This is a 10-round super middleweight tournament here from the Brown County Expo Center in Wisconsin. Michael Marley, who's with me for his expert comments to the New York Post. Michael, how do you see this tournament developing?
Well, this particular bout sends a former world champion, Frank Tate, against a journeyman fighter. You see the record of William Clayton. Calls himself 13-13, so he's what we call in baseball a 500 pitcher. But his nickname is the Crystal Kid, and I told Clayton I hope that didn't refer to his jaw. He said, no, not that kind of glass.
Yeah, he said to me he got it from the name of his first sponsor, to do with crystal glass.
Well,
here we have them. We've got...
This will be the third world champion that William Clayton has fought. He was knocked out by Matthew Hilton and Carlos Santos. Perhaps he can do better against Frank Tate.
Yep, here we go then. William Crystal Kid Clayton in the black shorts with the gold stripes, and Frank Tate the white with the blue. Round one. Scheduled for 10, a super middleweight contest between Frank Tate and William Crystal Kid Clayton. Frank Tate out of Houston, Texas, the former IBF champion, coming in against William Crystal Kid Clayton, who says he thinks he got a good chance against the former champ. Michael?
Well, Frank Tate is going to look to start quick. Clayton is the type of fighter who doesn't respond well to early pressure. And I think you're going to see Frank Tate jump on him.
Tate, a very intelligent type of fighter. He knows what he's up to, talks beautifully. He's a professional fighter, probably of the highest class.
Well, Americans have long known about Frank Tate. The world discovered him in the 1988 Olympics. I'm sorry, 1984 Olympics.
Yeah, when he got the gold medal.
In Los Angeles, he was winner of the gold medal, and he defeated Canada's Sean O'Sullivan.
Already he's showing signs there of starting to push back William Clayton.
Well,
Clayton not being intimidated by that much, but I think Frank Tate has got the better experience, the better idea of the ring craft.
Well, William Clayton has one tremendous victory. He upset contender Robert Pee Wee Rucker from New York, but that was at a lighter weight. That was at, I believe, junior welterweight.
Yeah, Robert Clayton spent 9 years in the U.S. Marines, and that's where he learned his boxing. He's been a journeyman boxer, traveling over most of the place. 25 fights, 8 KOs, 115, lost 10.
In fact, Clayton told me after that surprising upset victory over Pee Wee Rucker in New York, he was inactive because nobody wanted to fight him. He had problems getting fights. And in boxing, you can be a very popular loser, but if you win a fight you're not supposed to, work can be hard to find.
Well,
you see the counter-punching style of Clayton. He likes to react to what the opponent does.
Doesn't carry his hands very high, though, compared with Tate, who has that right hand tucked right up around his nose almost.
Well, just as you said that, Clayton put his guard up a little higher, so perhaps you're doing a little coaching, Robin.
Yeah, from the side, Michael, yeah. Frank Tate, then, an excellent professional fighter. He would like to get another crack at the IBF title. The super middleweight crown. He had a go at Lindell Holmes not so long ago. Didn't make it, but he's fighting in there. He wants another go.
Well, you know, losing to Lindell Holmes and Michael Nunn, his only 2 professional losses, that's not too shabby.
The way he's picking off the blows there from Clayton on his right glove shows nice training, nice schooling.
He's a very smooth fighter and always has been.
Crosses his arms at time almost to protect himself.
Well trained by the famous Al Potato Pie Bolden out of Houston, Texas, one of the top trainers.
Managed by Bob Spagnola.
It's interesting, Robin, the difference in reach, the edge in reach belongs to Tate by about 2 inches, although the height difference, Clayton's 2 inches taller.
Strangely enough, when I saw Clayton come into the hotel this morning with his cap and his glasses, I thought this guy won't last one round, but I think he's defying us at the moment. He's probably stronger than we think. Anyway, Michael, an interesting first round there for Frank Tate, the former champ.
Well, that was basically a feeling out round, as first rounds often are. If there was an edge, a slight edge, I thought to Frank Tate. But Frank Tate wanted to get a sense. He told us before the fight he would use the first round or two to get a sense of what Clayton does.
Well, crowd rising to it. The crowd rising to the first appearance of the ring girl this evening. Over in the corner there, William Crystal Kid Clayton there, getting some good attention from his corner. William Clayton, as you see, from Chicago, Illinois. Record of 13 and 13, 26 fights, 5 KOs. Not a very strong knockout specialist.
I might note, Robin, that William Clayton is not going to be...
Frank Tate, as we see it there, Michael, is 24 and 2, 13 KOs. Height 6 feet. He's a tall guy, but he's come against someone who's just as tall as him, as you said, if not better.
Frank Tate has moved up to super middleweight, 168 pounds. Now, tonight he weighs officially 173, and he and his people are considering campaigning him as a light heavyweight.
Anyway, he's in the seating with his hands full against William Clayton in a super middleweight bout.
I might note that William Clayton hasn't made a fortune as a boxer, but I doubt that any promoter has given him a short count. He has a college business degree, graduated from Chaminade College in Hawaii.
Yeah, presently working for the Chicago Post Office. Anyway, he's not posting letters tonight. He's trying to post those lefts and right, Michael.
Well, Frank Tate would like to stamp him out.
Nice punch there from Frank Tate, a good left. Tate still holding that guard up. That right is beautifully placed to pick off those punches coming over from Clayton. Clayton took a nice one there from Frank Tate, right on the nose.
Well, excellent jabbing by Frank Tate, right on target with that left hand.
And that left is coming through strongly now.
You see how Tate uses the feint. You know, he twitches the shoulder, pumps it, doesn't throw it, then he throws the left jab. So he's obviously a well-schooled and experienced boxer.
That left from Tate really is a sweet punch.
Now he's going to the body. I think that's what he needs to do to bring Clayton's guard down.
Brought the right down into the body there.
Right, then he can go upstairs, go up to the head. Now you see Clayton a little tentative. He's just kind of waving with his punches. He's going to have to step inside. Otherwise, he's going to get riddled by that jab if he stands on the outside.
Yeah, certainly in this round, he's not doing a lot with William Clayton.
Well, you see Clayton, he's popping the jab, but catching nothing but air.
Well, it's just being beautifully put down by that right hand once again of Frank Tate. He catches those blows just like he does in training.
I think it looks like a sparring session right now. I think Clayton's got to get inside. There's a right hand.
Clayton knowing enough at this stage just to tie Frank up and hold him there. He's been around long enough as a pro, though hasn't fought as much as Frank Tate. Tate coming back onto the onslaught. I think he knows here that if he keeps this up in 3 or 4 rounds, maybe Mr. William Clayton won't last much longer.
Well, Frank Tate, may not want an early knockout. I mean, that sounds blasphemous to say, but sometimes a guy like Tate is looking for a good, solid workout, and he wants to try various things. So to knock someone out quickly is the safest way to go, but right now I think he's just trying to figure out a good combination.
Frank Tate, of course, hasn't fought for nearly 5 months, so as you say, Michael, this is a good training spin, perhaps, if he wants it.
Oh, there's a big difference between the gym and a real fight, and I think Frank Tate's trying to make the most of this.
Frank Tate, of course, is still ranked the #1 and the mandatory challenger in this division, so he's going to get a crack sooner or later.
Well, he lost a close decision in New Orleans to Lindell Holmes for the vacant title.
Michael, how do you see it after 2 rounds?
I gave the second round also to Frank Tate, both 10-9 rounds. Again, my scoring's unofficial. We found that out in an earlier bout.
Well, Michael, we've come just look at the rules whilst we're in this state of Wisconsin. You had a few short jottings on the rules, which aren't very big in this part of the world. Let's have them.
No, it's an elementary state in terms of rules. Your commissioner here, Alan King, informs me the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. You have 3 scoring judges, a non-scoring referee. There is a standing 8 count, and that is at the referee's discretion. Another interesting note, one thing different from Wisconsin and many other jurisdictions, here the commissioner, and you have a single commissioner, the referee and or the doctor can stop the fight.
Right, okay, so there's 2 or 3 bites of the cherry there. Here we go then, round 3, Frank Tate, the white short with the blue slash, against William Crystal Kid Clayton, black and the gold. Frank Tate, IBF super middleweight #1 contender for the title, which he narrowly lost to Lindell Holmes 3 or 4 months ago. On our card, starting to move into a little bit of a lead here. Clayton holding on, Clayton pulling Tate right onto him.
Well, the offensive work's all been done by Frank Tate. The counterpuncher, Clayton, content to lay back. You see it now, how beautifully Frank Tate picks off those jabs.
But Clayton determined, I think, to pick up the pace. He realizes he's fading if he doesn't do something quickly.
Whether he can penetrate the defense of Frank Tate is another story.
Beautiful left, snapping there into the nose of Clayton, which suddenly became a little bit red. Clayton coming forward, catching the Tate there with a couple.
A lead right hand by Clayton, by far his best blow of the fight. Now, Frank Tate told us, Robin, that he likes to fight taller opponents. I think he's having a problem with the height.
Tate, though, cool enough just to snap it together. His corner saying, come on, get it together, calm down. That's what he's up to. Got Will Clayton onto the ropes. Clayton managed to turn him by just holding on to Tate's head there, just spinning him around.
Well, he's an old pro, as we noted, Clayton. Now, I think that's his best bet, is to get on the inside, because from the outside, Tate just peppers away.
Tate, most of the time, I think, Michael, he's shuttlecocking Mr. William Clayton. If he wants to, he really starts to push him around. He's a more educated type of fighter.
He is, but Frank Tate, despite having 13 knockouts among his 24 victories, not the hardest hitter. He hits solidly, but he's not the kind of guy who will take an opponent out with 1 or 2 punches.
And, of course, he himself got done for a TKO by Michael Nunn.
Michael Nunn, still undefeated, took the IBF title, which had been vacant. Tate won it by defeating Michael Olajide. But then Michael Nunn came along and he stopped Frank Tate. I must mention, in that fight, Frank Tate had problem making the weight, 160 pounds. You can see now, he's, not too long after, he weighs 173. So this may be his natural weight.
Okay, we're into round 3 then. Frank Tate against William Crystal Kid Clayton. 30-odd seconds to go. Frank Tate here slowly turning on the pressure, slowly moving ahead, but William Clayton determined not to give up. As we see there, comes back with a nice flurry. Tate responds of throwing out that educated left. Clayton trying to come forward again.
Every time you analyze Clayton, he comes to life, Robin. He must have a headset.
I think he slipped me $10 before the fight. Here we go. Clayton just pulling into Frank Tate there. We come to the close of this 3rd round. Frank Tate finishing where he started, just throwing out that good left. Let's take this opportunity, Michael, of welcoming all of our viewers from many parts of the world, including the Score Network United States, Mnet Supersport in South Africa, Eurosport and Sky Channel in Europe itself, Univision in Mexico, and the 2 Channel 5s from Italy and Spain. You're all very welcome. You're joining us for Frank Tate against William Crystal Kid Clayton, a 10-round super middleweight fight. We've gone 3 rounds so far, and Frank Tate on our card slowly inching his way ahead.
Well, Frank Tate is cruising here. He's cruising, but there's a flurry by William Clayton. But his best outburst of the fight, Robin.
Yep. Don't think it did much to Tate very much.
No, and I don't think he won the round either. But so far, Frank Tate cruising in the fast lane.
Frank Tate, of course, did not take his seat between rounds. He stood there in the corner leaning against the post. Clayton well sat down on his stool over there. Here we go then, round 4. Tate versus Clayton. Is Tate going to try and finish this off, or is he going to go for a training spin?
Well, I think trainer Al Potato Pie Bolden told Tate, now, you see the opening, take this guy out of there.
Always dangerous for a fighter if he decides to go on a training spin. He can get cut or he can get hurt. He's out for 6 months for a small amount of money. So here we go. Tate being told by his corner, get in there, boy, you can do something now. Just finish this man off. Clayton does say, I'm not going to give in that easily. Tate's corner saying, come on, tighten it up, tighten it up. We haven't really seen, Michael, a combination from Tate. We've seen that left most of the time, occasionally the right, but never a couple together.
Well, as we've seen...
Oh, lovely slip there by Frank Tate. Beautiful slip.
Clayton is a counterpuncher, and matchmaker Jack Cowens from Chicago knows Clayton only too well. He's from Chicago as well. He tells me that Clayton is a good right-hand puncher. If he sees the shot, can drop it in. Doesn't respond well to constant pressure. Tate has not applied that constant pressure. Another problem for Clayton, he has broken one of his two hands in the past, and his other hand is also brittle, so, you know, he may be a little tentative that way.
Tate, they're still twitching that left shoulder, trying to fool Clayton with his potential punches there. Pushing forward now. Clayton just standing still, watching, trying to throw out those lefts. Frank Tate once again coming forward.
Well, Clayton has to be encouraged, Robin. He's into the 4th round now. When he fought former junior middleweight champs Matthew Hilton, he went only 2 rounds. Against former junior middleweight champ Carlos Santos, he was blasted out in 1.
Well, here's Tate really.
Oh!
Tate catching one himself. William Tate catching there, Frank Tate right on the button. Looked almost all over for William Clayton. Suddenly he catches Frank Tate with a beauty.
I think
Tate also.
Clayton can tag you with a right hand. He's dangerous.
Tate really springing to life there. I think he realizes this man could be a little bit dangerous, worse than I thought.
Well, I think he got a wake-up call with that particular punch.
Yeah, those bells certainly went ringing, boy. This is 8 o'clock. Oh, good right there. The first real right to the head we've seen from Mr. Frank Tate.
Nice overhand right by Frank Tate. I'll say this, William Clayton's not one of those tomato can opponents. Doesn't look to come in and fall down right away. Solid journeyman boxer.
He looks pretty fit. He's gone 4 rounds. We thought he wouldn't, but he's certainly made it, and no discredit to himself. Frank Tate is pushing forward on him, but he's no pushover. Here we go, 4 rounds.
Clayton is in there trying. I think Frank Tate is smiling, but if I were he, I'd be a little upset with myself.
William Clayton over there sat down as usual. His opponent, Frank Tate, still. He's not going to sit down. He's one of these fighters. I always think this is wrong, Michael. I think fighters should take the break and sit down, get the weight off the legs. I can't see the sense of it myself.
Well, physically, I think you may be right, but mentally, I think it can have a positive effect for the fighter who stands. And also, if you're tired in the... Oh, there's that left hook. Nice left hook by William Clayton. That was the wake-up call for Frank Tate. Time to get up, Frank. Time to get to work.
Well, Frank never sat down. Here we go again. Tate himself coming forward. Clayton catching him there as he came forward. That beautiful right.
Excellent exchange.
Here we go in round 5. Frank Tate, former world champion against William Clayton. Crowd rising to this fight now. Tate coming out with a menace. He's really looking diamonds in the eyes. He wants to finish this off. He's looking with those staring eyes straight at William Kid Clayton. Kid Clayton's face begins to look a bit red, I think, Michael. He's taken quite a few cracks there around the nose and the cheeks.
Well, quite obviously, as Sugar Ray Leonard might say, now Frank Tate's looking to finish him off, take him out of there.
Tate's corner saying, come on, keep moving, get in there. Frank Tate, though, is not trapping Clayton.
No,
Clayton still managed to slip away when really Tate, with his class, should be able to trap him in the corner, trap him against the ropes and do some damage.
no matter what he told us before the bout, I think he's having problems with the height difference. Frank Tate at 6 foot is not used to fighting the taller man.
Referee Dick Barber,
Oh!
what a beautiful shot right on the button there of William Clayton. That's the one Tate was waiting for.
That was the 1-2. That was the right hand, and Clayton's okay. I think he'll go again.
Yeah. Here we go then. Tate coming forward. He senses the blood now. He wants to pile on the points. To pile in those punches, really finish off William Clayton.
Now you see the experience of Clayton. Smartly
Clayton
ties him up, holding up.
Holding on. Referee Dick Barton saying, come on, we don't want any more of that. This is where Frank Tate's got to be careful. Doing the same thing he got caught the last round, Michael.
Well, Clayton wants to hug him like he's his wife or his sweetheart. Anything to survive this round. We've got over a
Tate
minute
coming
left.
forward with a left and a right, catching Clayton again. Clayton looks a little bit blown.
There's that right hand again.
Another right.
You see the wobbly legs of William Clayton.
And again another right, but William Clayton's still in there. He's still holding it going. Frank Tate pursuing him relentlessly here. Also, Frank Tate's being caught occasionally as he gets into the corner.
I think Clayton's going to make it through the round.
Tate almost is losing his rhythm. He suddenly senses he can do it and he jumps.
Clayton smartly again tying him up, holding.
Tate there trying to pull the arm out and saying, okay, I'll swing with the other hand.
Well, it's not easy to survive in a hurricane, but Clayton is doing it, and time is running down.
You know, Sir Michael, every time Frank comes in to get close to William Clayton, he looks in danger. William pulls out a right or something there, pushes him back.
He is fighting back, definitely. Well, you use the expression, Robin, diamonds in the eyes. As we say here in the States, it's no day at the beach for Frank Tate. William Clayton, a surprising performance.
Both fighters taking shots there. Good round for Frank Tate.
Frank Tate gave Clayton a scare. I don't know if he's angry or surprised or what.
Why are you still there? Where have you got it, Michael, so far after the fifth or the halfway point of this tournament?
Well, I have Frank Tate with 50 points, and I have 50 to 40, 45. I have Frank Tate ahead. 10-8 the last round, 2-point edge for the knockdown.
Rightio, so Frank Tate slowly edging ahead on the unofficial Marley scorecard. Here we go. This is beautiful right there coming up from Frank Tate. Another one there right through from Frank, right on the button, William Clayton.
But you can see from the way that Clayton went down, he was okay on the way down. He very smartly cleared his head, and he survived that round. That's a moral victory for William Clayton, and I think he may go to the round.
Well, he's sure going to give it a good go.
That would be an accomplishment for a fellow with his record.
Against a very classy world champion of former days, and may still be a world champion. Here we go then, round 6. Frank Tate coming right out the same way as he started round 5. Very determined. He wants to get a couple of those shots in. I think he wants to get rid of Mr. William Clayton. Tate's throwing out that left.
Tate seems tight. I think he's pressing a little too hard, not letting the knockout come naturally. As you noted, Robin, he's unable to cut off the ring. Clayton moves both directions, and Tate has not been able to block him off, cut off the ring.
Clayton, as we see now, is also clever enough each time just to hold on with the elbows, trap that hand of Frank Tate.
Oh, this is no rookie that Tate's in with. He's been in with an experienced opponent.
Tate almost jumping there with his punches. They're no good like that. Now he's got William in the corner, but he didn't. Pushed the advantage, let him out. Clayton even almost went back in for him, but he still managed to pull himself out. Good little flurry there from Frank Tate.
Still an excellent performance by a journeyman, Clayton, against the world.
Oh,
there it
right
is.
on the button. That's the one we've been waiting for.
I spoke too soon.
Even
He's
Clayton,
out. He's out. Dick Bartman stopping it, counted him out.
I think he even was trying to get back up there, Michael. He is back up.
He is back up, but Dick Bartman had counted him out. And I think it was a good move by the referee because Clayton hit his head on the canvas on the way down. He's extremely, you can see right now, he's still groggy.
But he took that shot pretty well in the end, really, considering how hard it was. We'll see the slow-mo in a second. But that was a real humdinger of a shot.
Excellent combination. I thought Tate was pressing too hard, but he saw the perfect open.
Here we go. Let's have a look at that super. Oh, right and the left.
The right hand did the job.
Two beautiful shots there. Perfect punches.
Well, as you know,
once again, let's see him go down. William Clayton down like a sack of coal there.
you see him on the canvas. He's outside the ring ropes.
Banged his head.
Fortunately, Clayton wasn't hurt because that's a very dangerous thing when a fellow hits his head on the canvas and is almost off the edge of the canvas. So we're happy to report that William Clayton standing in his corner. He's under his own power and not needing medical attention.
announcer for his final say on this bout.
Slow
Referee
start.
Dick Bartman stops the fight at 1:22 of the 6th round. The winner via TKO, now 25-2, Frank Tate.
Frank Tate gets it then, the winner by knockout, 1 minute 22 of the 6th round.
Well, a slow start, but a very fast finish, and a very happy Frank Tate.
Next up.